Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Guitar Souls podcast. This is episode 32. Thankfully, Mike just checked that. And for those watching on video, you'll see that there's a third person here. We have a third person on the show today. Obviously myself, Levi Clay, Mike, my good friend, my partner in crime, the guy that's face is on my amplifier. Don't know. I'm going to live to regret that. I know it.
If you don't regret it now, you'll never regret it, and that's your problem.
Good point. And his brother, talented motherfucker, comedy genius, Mr. Kmac2021. How's it going, buddy?
Hello there. I'm not bad. How are you?
Yeah, not bad.
Brother. Good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to reach.
Yeah.
I'm afraid in case I'm like too quiet.
Well, it just be loud. I know that probably doesn't help, does it?
You've made a mistake asking me to be loud. But.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be a professional, studio set up, ready to record, and I wasn't expecting Kieran to show up today, but he turned up, and I'm like, cool, we'll just roll with the punches. I've got some microphones, don't have another mic stand, evidently, and don't even have another XLR cable, a dodgy XLR cable, but yeah, so we're making do with the audio setup that we have.
I would like to say I was here specifically to clap the dogs. And I've been roped into this, so you reap what you sow.
No, you knew you were coming, and you said, "I'm just going to sit in the living room and touch the dogs." And I was like, "No."
Well, that's what I thought. I thought I could weasel my way out, but
Mike thought exactly the same thing as I did, which was, please come on the podcast. We need more people to listen. Anyway, yeah, so we've got a ton of things to talk about today. Kieran has selected a Total Guitar magazine. We're going to look at one of those. Which is 20 heaviest riffs?
Yep, the 20 heaviest riffs ever, according to Total Guitars, a couple of people in Total Guitars.
So,
which year was this?
This was October 2004.
So we're going to go through that. We've got some Metallica to talk about. Someone made a styrofoam Telecaster, because why not? Fender have been naughty boys.
Got slapped the wrist.
Slipknot have been naughty boys, potentially. Allegedly, we should say.
Nah, I don't know.
Crazy Tom from Blink-182.
Being crazy.
Don't even know what this is.
This is the Counterfeit.
Counterfeit gear. Counterfeit's always an interesting subject.
Mm-hmm.
Petrucci. I'll tell you what, why don't we just start with this Petrucci thing, seeing as we've got Kmac here, a big fan of the 8-string guitar, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
John Petrucci, in an interview just recently, made comment to the fact that he was having Ernie Ball prototype an 8-string for him that never got released.
Thank fuck.
Yeah.
Not because it wouldn't be a good guitar, but because the last thing that fucking Dream Theater need is more excuses to write more music.
Yeah, well. So my issue with 8-string, and my issue with 7-string is it's always been the same. Like, I remember when Tony McAlpine picked up the 8-string and he played it like he played 7-string, and he played 7-string just like he played 6-string. To me, when you play 8-string, it's different. The range is so dramatically different to a standard guitar. You can't just play the stuff you play on guitar but put it lower. Like, you need to be more creative with it. Yep. So I can't think of anything worse than John Petrucci playing an 8-string, if I'm completely honest with you. But yeah, you're an 8-string guy. What?
I just can't imagine a Dream Theater album where he's got an 8-string. Like, he's got an extra string to add on a sweep into, because that seems to be all he does these days. But
yeah,
like, I couldn't picture it, because they're so far removed from what they kind of used to sound like. It's quite arena sounding now sometimes. So I couldn't even imagine it getting into that low range, and they don't even really need it, because the bass is so involved in Dream Theater and it makes such a big difference in every single song. Why would they need the guitars to be as low?
And more importantly, James LeBrie sings like he's like a squirrel. Why would you ever want to go lower in range for him to be going over?
Yeah, just to miss out all of the middle range altogether.
Exactly, just missing everything.
But here's the quote that really got me. So Petrucci said, I haven't played an 8-string guitar. This is my plan. In the same way that back in '94 when Awake came out, which is probably my favourite Dream Theater record, when I got that first 7-string, literally in the studio in front of the guys, hey, check this out, and we started writing and that music came out of me playing that guitar, I wanted to approach the 8-string in the same way. So it's something we're developing now. There's no schedule. When it happens, one day I'll get it. I want to be in the studio, pick it up, start writing, see what happens, and not really think about it too much.
It kind of feels like, Periphery are slightly turning into Dream Theater. It feels like Dream Theater are slightly going, we should go down this gent road and become Periphery.
Imagine the supergroup when Periphery and Dream Theater end up on stage at the same time.
I hate like bitching about Dream Theater because they were such a big influence on me growing up. And
Really? We'd never have known that.
Yeah, I've got a Dream Theater tattoo. And
Really? We'd never have known that.
but at the same time, like, yeah, I've made this criticism on the podcast before. Like, I didn't listen to the last Dream Theater album because why bother? The last 4 have all sounded the same. And when a prog band can release an album and you can pretty much anticipate what it's going to sound like, is it prog anymore? Is it being progressive and pushing boundaries? It's when I listen to Petrucci's riff writing now, I just think the way people play guitar, modern electric, distorted, heavy guitar, has changed so dramatically, and it sounds to me like he's completely unaware of it. And that is like the anti-prog to me. Like I look at Dream Theater and I'm like, man, John, you should if you just sat down and listened to John Brown for 2 weeks and saw what influence that might bring into your next Dream Theater writing session, then yeah, that would excite me. Get John Brown in Dream Theater. There you go. That's my
there you go. Hashtag get John Brown in Dream Theater.
Yeah, a Petrucci out, Brown in. Yeah, you get what I mean. And like when I read that quote, like that's what that says to me. Like playing the 8-string isn't what's important to me. It's not a focus. Like the only way he could access an 8-string is if Ernie Ball made him one that had his name on it. You know what I mean? Like just get an 8-string and play around with it, see what you think.
The only way he'd be interested in accessing one is if he got one with his name on it.
That you could sell.
Exactly.
Yeah, bingo. So, yeah, evidently it didn't happen. That 8-string never came to fruition. And I was going to say good, because that made the record sound better. But as I say, I've not heard the record. So
It's alright. It's exactly what you'd expect.
Is this the kind of fucking Dungeons and Dragons
Is it the
/ Game of Thrones?
No, there was the
since.
Astonishing, then there's Distance Over Time. I think it's called Distance Over Time.
Okay.
Where the Astonishing was them trying to tell as big of a story, like as they can fit into an album, but it just didn't work. It was nothing but ballads and like if you to ever start playing an 8-string, I don't see I could have ever wrote that. But Distance Over Time was, I think they've tried to stay away from the concept album. Could be wrong. I've not really listened to it much to analyse it.
Sure.
But it was alright. It's not really worth it.
Oh, on the note of concept albums, not quite concept albums, but Act, who wrote, Last Epic, which is a great concept album, but also Circus Pandemonium, they have a new album coming out soon. So yeah, they're starting to tease that. So any fans of Act, follow them, see what's going on. Anyway, on the subject of heavy music, why don't we cut to Total Guitar?
Let's do it.
I mean, it's not really the subject of heavy music when you're talking about Dream Theater, but it's a good segue.
They've got some heavy moments, but yeah.
So on the front cover they have 20 heaviest riffs ever. Metallica, Slayer, the Oompa Loompa song. Cool. Let's get it. So
this was clickbait before the internet was popular.
That was clickbait right there. That was like page bait. I don't even know what you would call it. But they sat in a room and they decided to pick and find the heaviest, darkest, most uncompromising, ball-crushing riffs the world has ever heard. They've got a big list here of some of the stuff that didn't quite make it.
Just for clarification, this is 2006?
This is 2004.
2004.
October
Okay.
2004.
So this is the perspective of people in 2004, both at the time. We'll forgive them for not mentioning things that came out after 2004. Yeah. Though Meshuggah were around in 2004, right? So surely they could have just put their number one as whatever Meshuggah write next year will be heavier than anything on this list.
Much every album soon to come. Should we look
Yeah,
through some of the
go for it.
ones they said were nice try but no cigar?
Let's try. Go on.
So at the top we've got AC/DC Back in Black, which I mean,
Heavy.
it's heavy riff, but
First thing I think of when I think, what's the most spine-crushing riff I can think of?
yeah, Iron Man by Black Sabbath didn't make it. CKY 96 Quite Bitter Beings also didn't make it. Really heavy riff. Bodies by Drowning Pool. Now this is a travesty. That should be number one.
Well, let me ask you a question before you continue. What does heavy mean?
I think it means a lot of different things for a lot of different people. It's a very subjective term.
Yes.
Like if you to ask me what heavy is, maybe 10 years. In fact, 10 years ago I would have probably said Linkin Park, and now I'm at a stage where it'd be like Meshuggah, Humanity's Last Breath. So I guess I don't even know how I would describe it nowadays. Anyway.
Yeah.
As time goes on, it's changing. The bar is being set.
I think it's two things though. It's like what is widely deemed to be heavy changes, the Overton window shifts, if you like. But also, I think heaviness is that thing that's just a little bit beyond your own comfort zone. So I can see why they would make the argument that Back in Black is heavy, because if all you've ever listened to is like John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, and then the first time you hear Back in Black, like, that's heavy.
Yeah.
That's so heavy compared to what you were
That's
listening to.
a very good point.
Before.
Okay, fair enough.
It's such a difficult one.
Maybe
what is heavy?
Desensitized to it because I've been listening to heavy music for a very young age. So
I suppose you're right, because even if you listen to Zeppelin Immigrant Song, it's still pretty heavy.
Yeah, and if you'd grown up listening to, like, let's say, like, early 20s swing, like jazz music, and then someone was like, yeah, check out A Whole Lot of Love. It's heavy.
Whole Lot of Love also didn't make the cut. That's in this, no try. Right, so
My mistake.
Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine, another
heavy.
one was pretty heavy.
I mean, I can see there they've got All That Remains on the list as well, so I'm expecting something pretty heavy. Malevolent Creation.
Kill Switch Engage in there, didn't make it.
Which riff?
The End of Heartache or Life to Lifeless. So both good songs.
To be fair, Life to Lifeless is pretty heavy, an intro.
Mouth for War by Pantera. Now that's a pretty heavy one.
Heavy.
I'm going to take a guess that Pantera is going to be in this list.
It's a list of 20. So in 2004, but yeah, Dimebag's going to be in there, isn't it?
Do you have any predictions? Who's going to be here?
Oh, well, Metallica's going to be in there, of course.
Nah, well, Metallica's the first name they mentioned.
Slayer's going to be in there.
The Oompa Loompa song might be in there.
I would
take a guess.
I would honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if they put Velvet Revolver Sliver in there.
Yeah.
Because, it's Slash and Total Guitar. So they've got to put Slash in there somehow.
Hand in hand at this point.
So in the same vein, given they're hard on for certain musicians, I think given that they absolutely love Jim Root, Left Behind's going to be number one.
Left Behind, okay.
Left Behind is a good guess, to be fair.
Now, you know what number one is,
I know them, I've read through them, so I'm not going to
I hope Mike doesn't know what number one is.
No, I don't actually.
Good. So I'm going to have to get my spanking pedal out now if it's Left Behind.
Don't you threaten me with a good time.
So, at number 20, we've got Oompa by Ugly Kid Joe. Now, I'm assuming that is just the Oompa Loompa song.
Right, yeah, well...
Oompa
I hope
is in
it's
the
not.
title,
I hope there's actually 2 songs in this list that have the word Oompa in there. Or maybe there's a song called Loompa.
Oompa Battle.
Sounds like Augustus Gloop tumbling down the stairs, so I'm assuming they just did a cover from that, so there you go.
Yeah, never heard it.
No. Number 19, Demanufactured by Fear Factory.
Fair enough, Big Dino.
Pretty heavy, nice industrial metal. That's another thing, when you talk about heavy, you can maybe consider production as well.
Yeah.
So when it comes to industrial metal, that is very mechanical sounding. It can be.
That's such a
little heavy.
Great point. Yeah, I think of like Rammstein. I would expect Sona to be on there.
Yeah,
in that list somewhere.
Oh yeah,
because that not a complicated riff, but with all of the percussion that goes with it.
Everything involved in it. It's just one of those straight to it.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
Number 18, Mailman by Soundgarden.
Belter. It's like
absolute belter riff.
You're in C, and then your A's tuned to G.
Oh, I'm not sure.
It's a strange tuning, but it's a good tune.
It sounds like the Foo Fighters on Valium, apparently.
Yeah, that's actually like what you have here is they're talking about music. It's a bunch of people with such a limited interest and awareness in music trying to describe things with their limited vocabulary. Like, how do you describe that? Well, I've heard of the Foo Fighters and I've heard of Slash. How could we compare it to that? Oh, this next riff sounds like Paradise City if it was written by someone that was pissed off at their parents. Like,
I should have mentioned as well, Fear Factory, apparently Demanufacture sounds like an underground tank assembly plant, which is...
That's a better description.
That is a very good description. Number 17, I Dreamed I Died by Devil Driver. I think I've heard it. I've heard a lot of Devil Driver, but it all sounds the same, so I can't put my finger on it.
I've heard a lot of Devil Driver over the years, and I can't remember any of it.
Sounds like Evil put to rhythm. At number 16, Surfacing by Slipknot. So there's your Jim Root right in there. Also a great riff.
Yes.
Sounds like Pain Made to Order. Number 15, Somebody Someone by Korn. A song that I don't know at all.
I don't know either.
Don't know it.
What does it sound like?
Sounds like that. Sounds like 333565.
No. The description, you dick.
I just wanted to wind you up. Thor versus the Hulk in a barroom brawl. Thor versus the Hulk in a barroom brawl. So there you go.
I think that's how they get the Avengers.
There you go. Number 14, Living Nightmare by God Forbid. It sounds like Lucifer's having a new extension built.
Fuck off.
It's annoying because like not knowing so many of these tracks, it's not like I can jump in and go, well, that's not a heavy riff. These may actually all be the heaviest riffs that have ever existed.
Nope.
I feel like once we start getting into 10, that's when all the like the basic bitch metal songs will start coming out, and that's when we'll start to really recognise them.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've ever heard I Dreamed I Died now I think about it.
I'm pretty sure you have.
Probably. Number 13, Bury Me in Smoke by Down.
No, it's heavy.
Sounds like Playtime in the River Styx. I think they...
Who's writing these fucking descriptions?
I know. They literally just get a full group of people to listen through... Well, they said they get a whole lot of people to listen through several albums, but I think they just went, like, give me your MP3 player, what's your best bet here? Number 12, Loco by Cold Chamber.
Oh, Des Fafara.
That is heavy, but like that.
Go!
It is heavy as hell, but it's so bad. I mean, seeing them play it live, and after that bit, after the local chorus, they just open strum, and he takes his guitar off the strap and just starts running it up the amp. That was the edgy, guess new metal style back in the day.
I used to do that at the end of every Hellcat Molly set with my Sir on the cymbals.
Oh my god!
I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't know what you're thinking. Well, fair play. That's rock and roll for you, man.
I was just trying to be cool, man.
Well, achieved.
I wasn't. I was wearing skin-tight pink snakeskin trousers.
All right. Okay. Well, that's my imagination ruined for the night. Yeah. It sounds like Godzilla on Heat. So again, whatever that means. Number 11, Walk by Pantera. There you go.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
Well, so I think we talked about Walk before on the podcast, maybe, and I always use it as an example of a heavy riff. But yeah, it's what you said, Kieran. It's like it's basic bitch.
Yeah,
metal riff.
It's very basic.
When someone pointed out, it was probably you, Mike. When someone pointed out, but Pantera have better riffs and heavier riffs, I immediately went, oh yeah, of course they do. But you just go to like you say Walk, or at least I do.
Pretty much just everybody knows it at this point.
I remember you used to think that was like the heaviest, and then you get fucking Strength Beyond Strength, and it's like being punched in the jaw.
Yeah. It sounds like The Storming of the Alamo.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh, I see what they did there.
Yeah.
Cheeky.
Number 9, Refuse Resist by Sepultura.
Okay, again, heavier riffs for Sepultura, but not a bad one.
Pretty heavy, to be fair. Sounds like The Coming of the Apocalypse.
Surely you would save that description for number 1.
I know. That's
well,
true.
I'm looking forward to not
number
what
one is going to be
but...
the best song ever, I guarantee.
Is it Tenacious D Tribute by any chance?
Well, that's
pretty heavy.
finished. Number 10, Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair play.
See, I would have maybe guessed that would go to number 1.
I was honestly thinking like Iron Man would be there,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously they didn't even involve that in the list. So, it sounds like what Death plays on his way to work. They really just must have been bored. Like, just something to do with Satan. Just Satan this, just Satan that. Whatever.
Satan, hell, death, the 4 horsemen.
Sounds like an angry devil when the vending machine didn't give him the snack he bought. Like just some boys in the office just going for it, man.
Oh, fuck off.
This one's Slayer and Atari Teenage Riot, No Remorse.
I've never heard that one.
I've heard it because there was a bit where I was trying to binge through Atari Teenage Riot, and I heard this. It's on the Spawn film. It's for the Spawn film.
Okay.
Yeah, that explains it.
So it's very heavy riffs and breakbeat. So I can see why it'd be so like 'cause it's very loud. Everyone's distorted. The drums are distorted.
Aye.
It's just shouting and screaming.
Clapping like fuck.
Sounds like the Gestapo storming a rave in Dusseldorf.
Pretty good one.
Number 7 has its own like full page. Low Down by Black Label Society.
Fucking belter
That's
of a
a
riff.
full page.
Yeah.
Like,
well, of course, it's Zach Wild.
Well,
like
true.
it's Total Guitar around that period. I got into Zach Wild because he was in Total Guitar so much. You know, he was programmed into my mind.
I think that's how I found out about him as well.
Yeah.
Because we used to buy the magazines, and obviously it used to be in like every front cover. His name would be there. His picture would be.
Yeah.
It sounds like AC/DC after 20 beers.
That riff's a good example of how I got into heavy, I guess, because it's in drop B, isn't it? And I've always taken issue with the terminology, like when people say drop C, and what they mean is drop D, but down a tone. Like, to me, when Zach Wild tunes to drop B, that's literally the guitar in standard tuning, but then you drop the low string all the way down to B. Yeah, so that tuning, I enjoyed that, because then you play a power chord, but the power chord is an octave. It's heavy.
It sounds great.
Heavy as shit.
Number 6, Sun by Rammstein. So there you go. It was there.
That's a smashing riff.
It is a smashing riff. It sounds like Optimus Prime doing a spot of coal mining.
All right, I'll give him that one.
I mean, it like maybe this is already in my head because of the music video, but I can picture like drills and all sorts going on. But the Optimus Prime is just God knows. Number 5, For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica. There it is. It's a good riff, but I don't know if it belongs this close to number 1.
Nah.
Well, when we get to number 1, I've had a better idea of how I would describe what heavy is, and that riff probably falls in line with it. So go on, keep going.
Sounds like trench warfare. Number 4, Right Now by Korn. Not heard it.
So Korn made it twice.
Korn made it in twice.
You will have heard Right Now. You maybe don't realise it, but definitely.
I think it's just because of like every Korn song I've heard pretty much does sound the same.
You not heard Purple Rain? Purple. Kieran was telling me a story earlier that he hadn't really heard Purple Rain until Prince died, and everybody he told went, "You've not heard Purple Rain? Purple Rain, purple." And he's like, "Well, ask me how now."
Every single person I said that to. I think it was just after Prince had died. I'd say they'd be like, "Oh, Purple Rain's brilliant." "Oh, I've never really. You've never heard Purple Rain?" And they would really get into it, and I'd be like, "Oh, is that? Oh, is it just the one line? That's crying that."
So I have a follow-up question to that. Was it true? Had you never heard Purple Rain?
Honestly,
or you just wanted to make people sing in public?
I wish it was that, but I'd never heard it in full up until...
You never heard Purple Rain? Purple
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You bad bastard.
That was bad. That sounds like Old Nessie tossing the caber.
Very Scottish.
Don't even know what the fuck that means, and I'm Scottish. Number 3, Angel of Death by Slayer.
Okay.
I expected that, to be fair,
Merciless
because
Butcher.
I read the magazine already. But sounds like surgery with no anaesthesia. There we go. So they ran out with like things to say. Just picked a lyric straight out.
I have a great Slayer anecdote for you, a great Slayer story. When I was in high school, I remember getting into Rain in Blood because I was learning Angel of Death from a Total Guitar magazine, and I was fascinated by the lyrics, obviously. And there's one word in the lyrics that I read it and I was like, I don't know what that means. And it didn't seem to matter how much I looked to try and find out what it meant. No one knew. And this was pre-internet days because I'm that old. Well, it's not pre-internet, but I didn't have access to the internet. And the word is abassinate.
Abassinate?
Yeah, abassinate, eyes that bleed is the line, right? And I was talking about it in school, and my woodwork teacher, Mr. Eddie Hitchens, he said, I can find that out for you. And he came back like 5 minutes later and he was like, yeah, I just checked. And it's when, if memory serves, I hope I remembered this right, it's when you remove the eyes using hot discs.
All right, okay.
Yeah, so nasty. And then he said, as used in the Slayer song, Angel of Death. And then from then on, for the rest of my time in high school, was me constantly looking at my woodwork teacher going, is he a Slayer fan?
He's definitely trying to hide it.
Yeah. So abassinate, there you go. Eyes that bleed.
There you are. That's hellish. Well, the full song is hellish. So number 2, Sad But True by Metallica.
It's heavy riff.
Heavy riff.
No.
Number 2, American Badass by Kid Rock.
Number 2, American Idiot by Green Day.
Sounds like a fucking dinosaur roaming the earth.
I mean, that's how you describe slams, right? That's what. If you're dancing around like a
Yeah. Don't you dare try and say that Sad But True has anything to do with slam.
I'm disappointed that Doug isn't here, because Doug loves his Metallica stories, and in particular laughing at Lars Ulrich. And he has a collection of, in fact, back when when I first moved to London, him and his buddy Lee, Hellcat Molly drummer Lee, used to have a Dress Like Lars Wednesday, where they would just wear dressing gowns, and their life was just about making fun of Lars Ulrich for some reason. Although they love Metallica, and he would
That sounds like a great life.
Yeah, he would constantly pull out this one live bootleg of Sad But True being played somewhere where Lars Ulrich fucked up the drum fill in it. Just the simple snare.
I've done it with one hand.
Yeah, fucked it. Absolutely fucked it in a live setting. So, good old Lars.
Good old Lars, of course.
So number 1.
We're at number 1. Do you have any predictions? Or
I think I just saw what it was.
Baby Killer by Development.
Close.
I think I just saw what it was.
Did you?
So, yeah.
Number 1 is Raining Blood by Slayer.
Yeah.
Of course, like basic bitch, like I said. It's just straight to the point. Played GTA Vice City once, heard it, and then that was it. Stuck in my brain forever.
It is it's a heavy riff, I'll give it that.
It is a heavy riff, but it's just like, I don't know, it's like the most, like, the only way I can describe it is basic bitch. I've used it a lot, but it is like, when you go to a gig, you just want to shout Slayer because you think it's funny, and it's just one of those things.
I was thinking when we were talking about them earlier, the better description of heavy, and this kind of makes sense in my mind. Fast things tend to be less heavy. So like thrash is less heavy to me. To me, heaviness, even with the name heaviness, is a riff that you have enough time in the headbang that you can really slam some weight down into that headbang. And the faster a piece of music goes, the less weight that you can throw down into a riff like that.
Unless you're Corpse Grinder.
Okay, yep. There's always going to be exceptions.
Right. They did say that at the start of this article. They did say they're trying to take into account the fact that something that is at 80 BPM and it's slow and it's ominous can be just as heavy as something that's at 200 beats per minute. Sorry. Yeah. So that's a very good point as well. That apparently Rain and Blood sounds like King Kong surfing an avalanche. You can tell that they really just phoned it in at the end. They were like, the list is done, I want to get home.
Yeah, not the coming of the apocalypse that they had earlier. Which of those two things are heavier?
The coming of the apocalypse, King Kong surfing an avalanche. There you
go. So what do you think then? Heaviest riffs for you guys?
Definitely not Rain and Blood. I mean, it's heavy. Maybe in 2004 when I listened to Slayer and Metallica and Megadeth, but it's not the heaviest riff ever.
It's weird because, like, when I heard it, I was obviously a bit young. I think the first time I heard it was in when I was playing Vice City at a young age. And
you shouldn't have been. You were under 18.
I know. But,
still under 18 and over 45 at the same time.
Schrodinger's adult.
But like when I was playing it and I was listening to the song, once I went and listened to it outside of the song, I was never thinking, this is heavy. It wasn't ever anything I thought about. It was just like listening to it and enjoying it. Yeah. And as I got older, I think is when I started to really think about songs as being heavy and not heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, we were just listening to some Meshuggah before we were recording this, and every single one of us are just so like any Meshuggah tune right now, I'd say like Demerge is probably what I think the heaviest riff right now for me, because I'll put it on and I just feel like I could just jump through my computer desk when I'm listening to it and stuff.
Stinger always gets me.
Stinger is also really, really good.
But here's where we have the advantage, and that's 15 years on that magazine. We've got 15 years of musical history to...
Stinger only came out 3 years after that. 2 years after that list, 2006, nothing came out. So, not that far off.
Yeah. It just feels like cheating to list off all the things that I deem to be heavy now.
Future Breed Machine was out in 1995.
I was literally just about to say, I can't believe nothing for that album, Destroy, Raise and Prove, is in this. Because that was heavy as hell, and it was out...
New Millennium Cyanide Christ.
Like almost 10 years before this magazine
1995. And that was like crushing things in 1995. If I'd heard that when I was 5 years old, I probably would have never come out from underneath my bed.
Although, would you say Meshuggah were a bit before their time?
Aye.
Because
pioneers.
They weren't really... Well, obviously they had a fan base and stuff, but I don't think we'd ever heard of them until God knows what age, halfway through high school.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about the same time as this, like 2 years after this came out, about 2006, 2007.
Pretty certain it was Big Andy that let me hear them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I'd throw Meshuggah in there. I'd throw Meshuggah in there for me, like Rational Gaze. It's just... I just every time I hear that riff, you got the intro that's a bit chaotic. You're not entirely sure where you are.
Yeah.
And then when it drops and that lead guitar part comes in behind it, it's just brutally heavy. And then the vocal kicks in.
You're right. Rational Gaze is a big kick in the head.
Yeah, which I enjoy.
Oh, aye.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I didn't go basic bitch and say bleed, which is nice, right? That's what I would have said 6 months ago.
You could have played Combustion. Nearly basic bitch until you realise that the hi-hat comes in off time and you go, oh, the riff doesn't make any sense until the hi-hat starts, right sound?
Bleed is kind of like a very stereotypical Meshuggah fan song that they would point out. I know a lot of people who really love Meshuggah but hate that song just because
it's overplayed.
It was everywhere. Yeah. You can't really discredit the band for a song being overplayed though, but at the same time, it's
overplayed for a good reason. It's a belter. It's heavy as hell. If I had to throw something a little more modern, as everyone knows, I mentioned him earlier. Like I'm a big John Brown fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think like the chorus riff on Origin of Escape where you've got it's just that repeating da 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 da, and it's just relentless, and it's like a constant punch in the face.
Serious groove as well.
Yeah,
like, it's so heavy, but you still get really into it.
Yeah. When you vocalize it, it's not da 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 da. It's da 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 da. It's percussive as well as So
more explosive.
Yeah, I really dig that. So heaviness, yeah.
I think maybe like another one that I think could have fit in this. I'm trying to. The album was definitely out by this coming out. By Myself by Linkin Park. Dun, 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 dun. I'm pretty sure they actually used a 7-string for that.
That was on
Hybrid Theory.
You're right.
Like that full album is heavy in my eyes, but that song in particular, I think the intro riff could have made it into this. But
Still missed a trick with Sliver though, didn't they?
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's
the secret number one.
Hey!
The secret number one that they've been putting in the magazines from 2004 all the way through till they stopped.
If only they got somebody that done like gore grind vocals and to do a cover of it.
Okay, so what else is in that magazine? I noticed though you were showing us a BC Rich guitar. Was that
that's
that
right.
issue?
Yeah, I think it was at the end of the gear reviews. The BC Rich Platinum Virgo.
Oh,
Bring that there, that right? Oh,
The Lady Killer, as it's known.
there it is.
yeah. What? I mean,
Libido Killer, probably.
it's everything wrong with guitar design there for me.
Yep.
It ruins the Widow headstock, that iconic Widow headstock.
Zero binding, looks terrible painted.
And then you've got that cutaway in the back. The thing I love about the cutaway that you have at the back of a V or a Warlock or whatever is that it sits really nicely on your leg. Whereas that, because it's round, I don't think you'd get your leg in there. I certainly fucking wouldn't.
No, you misunderstood. You put your arm through that.
I see.
And strum the strings underneath the bridge.
I was going to say you put your foot through it and slide it up your leg. Play it like that.
When I was younger, I used to draw pictures of like bands, and I would always draw guitars. And this is exactly what I would draw them like if I was trying to draw like the most metal guitar.
When you were like 6.
And the inlays are the frets have got like wee blood drops for fret markers there.
I like that they're colour coded. That's pretty cool. But hack it.
Yeah.
Very, very
retail price on it?
Retail price £500, so $4.99.
Okay. No, so you mean the other way? $4.99, so £500.
Aye, that was aye.
Yeah. And what are the pros and cons that they've put at the end?
For mental tone, quality build against weight distribution.
Mental tone.
Mental tone, not metal tone, mental tone.
Mental tone from those, BC Rich branded pickups, I imagine.
A blade, mini humbucker, and open coil item. There you go.
Yeah.
So it supplies the Virgo's mental output.
Yeah. And of
so
course,
high output pickups.
Star rating.
4 out of 5.
Who would have guessed it?
Yep, of course.
Who would have guessed it? You can't give it a 5 because that means it's the best thing ever made. Can't give it a 3 because that means it's the worst thing ever made.
Yep, that's it.
Was that the dime bag?
That's an X2.
Yep. I know absolutely nothing about this amp right here.
I'll do it.
There you go. You do it.
So for those who like their high gain amps, Randall are definitely up there. There's the Randall X2 head and 4x12 cab. So, disturbing the peace cells, we're buying. Fuck off. Just fuck off, Ed. Fuck right off. To be fair, these things were lethal, man. 300 watt solid state. And they were usually equipped with really, really high power eminencies. So you could crank the shit out of them and probably ruin your own life. Deafen yourself. So, oh no, sorry, I'm talking shit. This cab actually had a Celestion V30s. So essentially cranking that amp would ruin your own cab. 300 watts into 120 watts cab. Alright, no bother. Sounds great. I bet it'll sound good too. 4, awesome, with a capital A, tones. Built like a tank. We love those LEDs. Against, it'll keep your chiropractor in business, but it's worth it. You can't say but it's worth it in an against.
How is that an against? How is that a con in any way?
Wait. 5 bastard stars.
Rated 5 stars.
Best thing ever.
Having said that, if I do have to give it one compliment, I love the handles that are inset in the amp like that.
Yeah,
that's the way to do handles.
There's no doubt the Randall stuff is and has been really, really good. Pricing's been a bit silly. Power output is a bit excessive. But
still not a Marshall Mode 4 though, is it?
That's a good thing.
At 350 watts of megatone. Oh, I just saw an ad for a Newfound Glory album. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yep. Failure's not flattering.
And here was Kieran's favourite point out.
the Line 6 Spider 2.
Tone for days, bro.
Brother, this is yours.
Oh, God.
Get it read.
Arachnophobics, beware. This spider bites like a bitch. I tried to put as much metal into anything to there. Just, like, it's such a meme at this point.
Oh.
Line 6 are a meme in general, but this, you always
It's
hear
a
about the
shame though,
spider.
because their stuff is so good, or has been good, and then there was periods where it was shit, which would have been Spider 3 onwards, Spider 2 as well, actually. And then they start hitting it with the really good, like the Pod HD, then the Pod HD 500, the Pod X.
Yeah, I had the HD
Helix.
500X, and it was a really good bit of kit.
I've got the
It's great.
500X now, that's what I'm using. I actually really like it. Because my mates had the Pros, and they were great, but I wanted a pedal board rather than thing. In fact, I used an X3 Pro, I think it was, for like the first couple of videos that I did and the first couple of songs I was writing and stuff.
He hates when I point this out, and I know he listens to the podcast, so sorry for this, buddy. But Martin Miller, his tone, his sound, and he has a sound, was always a Pod XT. Like when he did his album, he did a Pod XT for it, and then when he moved beyond that, like having that piece of gear, he still needed that tone. So he was using his Axe effects when he got it to profile. To tone match to his Pod XT.
Good on him.
Because
It doesn't matter what bit of equipment you've got, Martin's tone is fucking great.
yeah.
If he rocks it, then fair play to him.
I think he's evolved it a little bit now, but in its roots, it stemmed from having a unique tone that came from a unique piece of gear.
I'd love to see him and his band in one of those playthrough medleys, and you look down and he's just got like a Spider 215 mic'd up.
We could probably do our own little edit of that.
Aye, make it happen, man. Let's do it.
So the fors and against: for authentic valve tones in a convenient size.
The Insane channel definitely sounds like a fucking valve amp.
The Insane channel sounds like black metal vocals. Like that is how hellish it sounds. It sounds like telestatic.
No, I think you get it wrong. I don't think that the names of the channels are descriptors of what they sound like. I think they're descriptors of who designed them.
So the against is not as many amp models as some, but 4 out of 5.
5.
It wasn't the best thing, it wasn't the worst thing.
Don't want to go any lower because I'll lose money. But right, that was it.
Yeah, I'm amazed that it got the didn't get a 5, to be completely honest. I'm gonna. We'll see how quiet people want to be on this, because I've been having arguments with people online for the last day or so about ads in videos.
Argue with people.
YouTube videos, and I want to make this super clear on the podcast. Like, I actually have zero problem with people putting ads in their videos for things, because we all need to make money. Like, we all need to make money. YouTube is very clear with their terms, though. If you have paid promotion in your videos, it needs to be disclosed. Even when you upload, you have to tick a box if there's paid promotion in it, and when you do that, it pops up in the bottom left corner when a video starts. This video includes paid promotion.
Yep.
That transparency is super, super important, and I think as we progress forward, that transparency is disappearing a lot. Having said that, I don't know if it's anywhere near as bad as it was in the magazines, because as you just pointed out there, Kieran, like, can't give it a lower rating than that because it will cost us money.
It will cost them far too much cash.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. Like, it's a real. It really pains me that people can't be more objective about stuff like this. So obviously I pointed out that Glenn Fricker and Stevie T use both
Stevie T.
Yeah, both have the same word for word ad. Good impression.
Not to do me.
Both have the exact same ad in the video. And on the one hand, you look at it and you say, well, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. They're getting paid, and I agree with that. But the issue for me came when the read that they had to do for the ad had an opinion in there. When you have to put across your own opinion, a company can. I'm happy to talk about any product if I'm getting paid for it. Cool, guys. These guys paid me some money, and they want you guys to know about this thing. That's one thing. But to then go, and the thing that I love about it the most is, like, that's horseshit.
It's the thing that the person that wrote the script for you likes the most about it. It's not you personally.
That's their favourite selling point. They
Well,
think it's going to be their USP.
See, I've been, like, I get a lot of emails from people who make games, mobile games. Sometimes they're, like, low-key. Sometimes they're really, really big, like, the ones you'll probably see in, like, Stevie T videos and stuff. And I'm not against, like, people going for it, but me personally, it's like, my channel has nothing to do with playing games on your mobile phone. If someone like it's like some sort of app that was helping you practice guitar and stuff came towards me, I'd probably consider it a musician. But but when it comes to games and stuff, like it's not something I'm gonna play, and I wouldn't feel right going, oh, the graphics on my phone are so great, even though my phone doesn't run it properly and overheats and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
it's just for me personally, but I can understand it's a business for some people and they need to do that. But you need to be clear to your fan base that like you can't manufacture this kind of stuff. You can't just read from a script because like
you'll get caught out.
You get caught out so quickly.
Yeah.
Well, as far as I understand, at least in the UK, any promotional video you do or any content you do, even like an Instagram post, like for example, if I put a picture up of my Ormsby's and it wasn't clear on my profile that I was endorsed by them, you could be sued because you're advertising something without making it clear that it's an advert.
Yep.
So you need to have it like explicit as part, even just as individual post to say this is a paid promotion or I'm in a business relationship with this company.
Yep.
And you're right, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Nearly as much as it should.
Yeah.
It's the reason my channel went the way it did, because I got tired of being told you can't say this, you can't say that. There's nothing worse, and people have been like, oh, you should get off Glenn Fricker's back. I'm not on Glenn Fricker's back. I like Glenn Fricker, but let's not pretend that he does anything other than 2 different types of reviews. He does fearless gear reviews, which is when he goes out and buys the gear and he'll pan it, and then he does reviews where the company send him the gear and he won't say this but give him money, right?
Yeah,
and people say, well, you know the difference between those two things. And I'm like, cool. So why are they not all fearless gear reviews? If they're not all fearless gear reviews, then that implies that there's some degree of fear involved with the ones that money is changing hands. Therefore, can you trust what's being said to you? Integrity is easily sold and can't be bought back. You know? So I think people need to. It's not. I don't actually give a shit. Like if you YouTubers want to do things that I would deem to be stupid, go right ahead. I'm going to keep pointing it out when you do it. It's more like the only reason I bring it up is more a case of it's for the consumer. Like if you're watching someone on YouTube and you look up to them and they recommend a product to you, really think about, are they recommending the product to you because they love the product, or are they recommending the product to you because it's been financially beneficial for them to recommend the product?
Definitely.
So there you go, bit of a tangent, but
speaking of sold out,
good, fair point. But
speaking of sold out,
yeah, good. What a segue!
What a segue!
Oh, segue.
This isn't your first rodeo.
That's not Cowboy.
So Metallica doing S&M 2. So I didn't know about this. Metallica doing an S&M 2.
Neither did I actually
either.
until I saw the story.
No idea.
I mean, probably because no one could actually get any announcement to buy tickets.
Yeah, there's a problem with anything like that. Just Metallica in general, right? You're never going to get to go see Metallica, are you?
Well, unless they do a gig for 30 quid, absolutely not, because I wouldn't pay more than that for it.
And it's going to cost you a lot more to go and see Metallica.
No, it's not, because I'm not buying the tickets.
So they were doing a second S&M show. For those unfamiliar, S&M, they did an album, what was it, around Before Load and Reload?
Yep, and it was not only an album, they did the DVD as well.
Yeah.
Phenomenal, by the way.
Yes,
like, genuinely really
for
good.
the record, really good. The unreleased song 4 Leaf Clover, which they might have released now. Excellent song, like
No Leaf Clover.
Is it No Leaf Clover?
No Leaf Clover,
there you go.
yeah.
I'm not a real fan, but aye, great
Not
song.
basic enough.
Aye, exactly.
So
He's an advanced bitch.
it seems that they're doing a second S&M show, and they've had to announce a second S&M 2 show after Ticketbot invasion. So it doesn't surprise me at all. Of course that's going to happen.
But the appropriate response to that is to cancel all those tickets.
Yeah.
Not to go, we'll put a second date in and then make double the money.
Good point. So it's when you say cancel the tickets, do you mean like cancel ones that were bought by bots?
Of course.
How do you distinguish?
Multiple accounts that they would take like 10 or 12 fucking tickets. Or just completely wipe it, the slate clean and say, sorry, anyone that bought a ticket, there's been a total invasion of bots. We need to put that out. Like, to stop that happening, unfortunately, we're cancelling all the sales. They'll now be back on sale for general admission for everybody.
Yep.
Sorry if you're lucky enough to get it the first time and don't the second, but otherwise it's not fair.
Was there not on you today? Like, remember when I think you went to see Rage Against the Machine when they played,
In
and
London,
you
that's
had to
right.
like your ticket had to have a picture of you on it
Yep,
and stuff like that.
your picture on you, your name, your date of birth, and I think a couple of pieces of information as well.
You would think there would be, because especially the fact that it was meant to be a special one-time thing, you'd think there would be something that like that much security involved in it. But
Yeah.
but money.
It's sad that you have to look at gigs and say that stuff like that is necessary, but the fact of the matter is it is necessary. It's
Especially when the platforms that are selling the tickets are touting them as well.
yeah.
More so than anybody else.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. And
Fuck you, Ticketmaster.
we've said it before, like it would result in an unfortunate situation whereby maybe you buy a ticket for a gig and then close to the time you realise you can't go, and unfortunately you're not going to be able to sell your ticket on because it's got your face on it.
There are ways for any responsible ticket sales company that does that. You can resell, but it has to be through their website or with their authorization.
So, well, yeah, I guess actually it
So they would
shouldn't
just
be that
reissue the
difficult at
ticket?
all. Yeah,
No.
you would just cancel the order. With
You just basically phone the box office and say, listen, I can't make the gig anymore. I've decided to give these tickets to someone. Whether you want to refund me and you process the sale to them directly, and then that way you know it's face value, I'm happy to do that. Here's their details, and that's how it usually goes.
Yeah, it's going to add a lot more admin stuff into the equation.
Yeah.
But
They're taking enough money for admin. Fuck them.
yeah, your £12 handling fees.
Exactly. Handling what? You don't even give me a ticket.
Yeah.
No one's handling an email that's automatically generated with a code on it.
Yeah, the one that riles me up the most is print at home tickets, and they
They
charge you
charge
for
you
the
money for
privilege.
I know.
Like-
The privilege of printing it from home. you
Yeah.
know.
Like that. Having said that, I like to have all of my tickets posted to me because printing at home is an inconvenience. It means I have to get my printer out.
I don't own a printer.
So yeah,
But I also have this four-legged shredder in my house called Jack. When any letter comes through, it's just demolished.
Yep. I thought someone had ripped a letter up in the house, and it turns out Jack had got a hold of it, and it was almost ripped like in the envelope into 4 segments.
Aye, it was
perfectly.
perfectly ripped. He has no remorse. So sometimes if the option is there, I'll go for the just get the PDF through, and you can just show them it on your phone.
Jack the Soul Ruiner.
Exactly. But that's just
yeah. So if anyone is going to go and see Metallica, good luck. I hope you manage to get in, and I hope you don't have to spend too much money on the ticket, and I hope the beers don't cost $20 each, and I hope the shirts aren't $50 each.
And I hope the tour bus doesn't drive away before you try to even fucking shout their name.
I hope you don't spend $300 on a meet and greet to meet them for 2 seconds and not get a picture with them.
Yeah, but you need to give them. They're expensive because these guys they need their money. They need
Lars Ulrich needs a 4th extension on his
I
home.
was going to say Lars Ulrich needs another gold sink for his bathroom.
hard fucking times, right?
Yep.
Let's not even mention that disgusting styrofoam Strat. You get the idea. I like this story. Have you seen this, Kieran?
I have. I slightly followed it. I wasn't sure what the actual reason was. I don't know if there's been any real statements come out yet, has there?
Slipknot percussionist Chris Fenn sues the band over money dispute. Oh, it's coming, boys. The beginning of the end.
Yeah, well, he's left already, hasn't he? He's
Since then,
left
he's
the band
left.
after this.
So the TLDR, my understanding is basically he's not happy the cut he was getting. But let's be honest, everyone else was playing an instrument or doing vocals. Chris, you walked about, masturbated the nose on your mask, and hit things with a baseball bat. The fact that you're getting paid for that and got to go around the world is already fucking astonishing. Behave yourself.
I would
Rein it back in.
happily wear a mask, put a bin over my head, and slap it while people are playing music for a $5. The day that doing Motherwell, never mind. Just
Don't you dare
Just-
steal Kieran's fucking video ideas, internet people.
I mean,
just do it, it's fine.
you say this, but like a huge part of Slipknot sounding the way they do is the ridiculous level of percussion they have on top of the drums. Right?
Aye, that's.
But that's the timpanis. That's not someone hitting a beer barrel.
Well, no, there is one in Duality. There's one big keg hit, which makes me.
Okay.
Although, you could easily just go into like a fucking royalty-free sound effects website and just add that in.
True, but you want to see it live.
You do want to see it live. That's true.
Like you watch those guys live, and I mean it's Clown's band, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think it's his whole thing.
It's Clown's band, really. Like it's
Corey
him
Taylor
and
wasn't
Corey.
that.
It's Clown and Corey at the.
Corey wasn't an original member.
I mean, here,
Corey
like
was
in terms of
pinched.
band leaders, Sean and I know originally, but
Oh, of course, you're not going to say Slipknot if you didn't imagine Corey Taylor being the front man.
Aye.
but what I mean is like the Sean and Corey have got the pull in the band,
Yes.
and yeah, Sean Clown, he's just a percussionist too. You know what I mean? Like
To an extent, aye.
it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. He just hits things, but
What we don't know is what happens behind the kind of behind the scenes, whether it's the case that Sean does a lot of the actual admin stuff for the band and pushed everything forward and worked on their image and masks and all that kind of stuff. I get the impression that would be the case.
Well, I want to point out that, like, obviously you're joking about how useful Chris is in the band. I came in and said I give him validity. Like, to me, what he does is totally valid, and he's an integral part of the band. He's probably easier to replace than Corey, but
still
yeah. So
amendable.
I'm not going to bitch about Clown because who knows how much he does behind the scenes. But read us the story, Mike, because you can actually see it, right? I can't.
Certainly can. So, according to The Blast, Slipknot percussionist Chris Fenn has filed a lawsuit against his bandmates, claiming that he hasn't been properly compensated for his years of touring with the group. In his lawsuit, Fenn claims to have always been told the money from merchandise and touring is funneled through one sole company that splits profits and pays the members of the band. However, Fenn claims he recently discovered that his bandmates have set up several other Slipknot-affiliated business entities in different states that appear to be collecting money from the band. Oh, the Cayman Islands of Slipknot fucking money. Fenn says he was unaware of the separate companies and claims to have never received a dime from them. He specifically accused band leaders Sean Cran and Corey Taylor of shady business dealings. Fenn wants a full forensic accounting done on Slipknot's company and assets and to collect the damages and profits he believes he is owed. Fenn, known for wearing a Pinocchio-style mask, that's a really way, like, they're really playing it down there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Known for masturbating his face on stage and hitting things with a baseball bat, has been performing with Slipknot since 1998 and participated in all the band's albums.
I've never once looked at him and went, "Oh, that's the guy that wears the Pinocchio-style mask, isn't it?"
Here's the way I see it, right?
Pinocchio gimp.
So is this how this lawsuit's going to get settled? He's going to stand up in front of a judge and say, "Look, they've been stealing money from me. My nose hasn't grown. Pay up."
No. So, in summary, if I don't get my royalties, the baseball bat comes out.
Yeah. To me, this is wild. This is absolutely fucking wild. There has to be some validity to it. He wouldn't be filing a lawsuit unless he had
Definitely.
Unless there was the need for these accounting checks.
I'm not so sure. I think what's happened is the rest of the band have invested money into other things and they have some other way of money coming back. He's not done that and he's now pissed off that he's dimeless and they're all doing all right. And he's
maybe
bending the wording to suit himself.
Potentially, but it says, his bandmates have set up several other Slipknot affiliated businesses in different states that appear to be collecting money from the band. So collecting money from the band rather than, why? I know what you mean, but I can't see any reason that money would go from the band to the businesses.
Yeah.
Unless they've invested in, say, for example, a merchandise company, and then they're using that merchandise company through the band's money, so they're making profit from a cost. That's still not money that he's due because that's someone else who's invested in that business.
That's a fair point. Yeah, if Sean set up a t-shirt manufacturing company, or Slipknot needs to pay the company to have the t-shirts manufactured, and then he gets the profits on. Okay,
I think that might be the case. It's more so doing maybe a distribution deal with other things or whatever.
I don't think that will be the
licensing,
case,
not distribution. Sorry, like a licensing style deal or whatever.
I don't think that will be the case though, because money poisons people. Money makes people. The more you have, the greedier you fucking get. Yeah. And it
Kmac.
Let's just look into the history of bands that have been fucked over by their managers. And there's never a reason for a manager to fuck over a band. You're already taking 20% of everything they make, and which is more than the band members are taking from the band. And you've got more than one fucking band. You don't need more fucking money, but you still do it. You still take advantage.
Still reminds me of the agency that contacted Party Cannon, we'll go unnamed, and said, "Oh, we'd love to work with you. We'd deal with these bands and these tours, and we'd get you a lot of work. We just want you to pay us £1,000 every 3 months." How about you take a split from whatever money we get from these gigs? No, it's £1,000 every 3 months. No, because there's no way for us to quantify you're actually doing anything.
Was a similar thing that happened to Bleed From Within back in the day as well?
No, that was with Rising Records. We need to look into that and talk about it. It's very interesting.
Aye.
I've told you about it briefly.
Okay.
The TLDR on that is it was pretty much a fake record label. They were going around and offering bands, if you buy in, we'll build your album for you and make sure you get a great profile, blah blah blah. They had maybe 1 or 2 bands that done well from it, and the other bands were getting scammed with fucking 6, 7, 8 grand. And I think I can't remember the guy's name. I want to say Mark Daghorn, but that might be incorrect. Who was the record label owner? Disappeared to Spain or Portugal, and owns a pub or something.
Mental.
Like, it's fucked.
Yeah, money poisons people.
Yes,
To get
there's some
back
people
to
already poisonous.
To get back to the point of like Chris Fenn being maybe easily replaceable, like if you had to go and see Slipknot live, and if it was only like imagine if it was only the base members, you'd be pretty bored. Like
Yeah.
the whole point that it's a performance in a way. It's like imagine going to see like Andre Rieu or something, and he was playing with a backing track. You'd be a bit cool. Like
Yeah, I have no interest in going to see Slipknot without Joey on the drums.
Yep.
I have no interest
lie.
in going to see Slipknot without Paul Gray playing bass.
rest in peace.
You know what? I could go see Slipknot without Paul Gray on bass because he's not on bass for a good reason.
Yeah, it's extenuating circumstances.
Yeah,
obviously.
There's no way you can look at it and go, well, you need to get Paul back. But Joey was a huge part of that band. He was one of the founding members, one of the writers.
Yeah,
Like,
he wrote songs like Sick and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
wrote some really big.
So just
like,
an
proper
integral
Slipknot
part of the
songs.
band. Same with Dream Theater. Like if Portnoy's not on drums, I'm just not all that interested.
No,
Like,
not at all.
so yeah, the way I see it is Sean is an integral part of that band. The image of that band. I spent so many hours as a kid watching the Disaster Pieces DVD. Double disc version of that, and on the second disc you can go on there and put up like multi-camera angles, and
That's
you can
right.
select the camera
yeah.
angles that you want to watch from.
Is that the one that you can pick the camera for the drum solo?
Yes.
You can watch it revolve and shit.
Yeah. Or you can just watch the entire. I think it's 3 songs that they have the multi-cam angle thing for. You can watch the entire 3 songs from Mick Thompson's headstock.
You would do that,
Yeah.
because you are a fanboy.
I mean, that was what made me a fanboy. That was what made me want to take playing heavy guitar seriously, because it
That's
was
fair.
just amazing to watch him play like People Equal Shit. And he never. There's like 2 moments in the song where he stops headbanging, and it's not for any reason other than he stands up, walks to the front of the stage, and then
And then
continues
continues.
headbanging. And he's just all over the neck like an absolute machine. Never looks up, he's just banging. And I'm like, oh, this guy's cool. So yeah, and Chris is part of that too. So
Yeah.
you talk about like what this guy gets up on stage and wanks off his face. Yep, you're absolutely right. He does, and
And that's his performance.
But
if I think
enjoyable.
of the Left Behind video, there's the rain coming down at the end of it, and there he is fucking wanking his nose
It's
off.
like, who's,
Pulling
the,
his mouth off in that as well.
who's the guy for the Happy Mondays again that just dances?
Bez.
Bez. I imagine not going to see them. Bez wasn't there. Refund.
You're right. You're right.
Refund.
And that's the thing. Art is subjective, so
Yeah,
you need to give credit where credit's due. He's a founding, or he's a member, and has been a member since 1998. He's done his thing. He's known. He could have been replaced at any point with somebody else with a fucking daft mask, but he hasn't been.
yeah. I really do hope you're right that he's made a mistake with this one, because if you're wrong and he's right, then
Bad blood.
same thing's going to happen with Mick Thompson. It's Craig, isn't it? The pin mask. Yeah,
I think so.
does the samples and shit. Is Sid still in the band?
Sid's
DJ?
still in the band.
Yeah,
DJ still.
same thing will happen with Sid. Like even if there's validity to them researching it or not, just the fact that Chris is doing it will make all of the other members go, huh.
They might be like, wait
I
a
should
minute,
look
let's
into this.
have a look back at some profits here.
The way I read that isn't that it's everyone except Sean and Corey.
Yep.
I think it's everyone except Chris has invested or has made these other business options, and he hasn't. That's the way it reads to me.
I think that's a good read between the lines, but not necessarily one that's like a valid read between the lines. Yeah.
Everything's a stab in the dark, innit?
Yeah,
There's no real thing to know right now.
Because I would agree with you, but then I'd also look at the situation and say, well, but what the fuck has Mick Thompson done? As I've said on the podcast many times, that's why I fucking love him, because like he does Slipknot, and outside of that, he just does not give a shit. I'll do Slipknot, and then
He doesn't need to. He's
read in
sold-
an interview like, oh, I like not doing a side project outside Slipknot. When we're not touring, I just sit at home and masturbate. that's fucking cool. This is a man that had a fight with his brother or brother-in-law and got stabbed in the head.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I actually met Slipknot once.
I've heard the story.
And kinda Korn. Korn were there as well. I think it was when Slipknot and Korn were playing in the Hydro or something. It was a few days before. Me and my mates were out for dinner in the Hard Rock Cafe, and all of a sudden there was a big commotion with the workers starting to organise tables and stuff. We were like, oh, wonder what's happening here. And then like Jim Root and Mick Thompson and stuff walk in, and we're like, just watching them down. They sat right behind us. I'm sure there's a photo of me smiling and a very small Jim Root head behind us. And then the fire alarm went off before any of us had, like, we'd all ordered, and then the fire alarm went off, so we all get sent outside. So we all get sent outside, so did Slipknot and stuff. So some of my mates, I think my mate Dom in particular, went up to Mick Thompson and said, "Excuse me, are you Mick Thompson?" He said, "Maybe," and walked away. And that was the whole
fantastic.
thing.
That's absolutely fantastic.
We went back in and we got an entire meal for free, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
But nobody from Slipknot came back, and I don't think anyone from Korn were there either. So free meal for us, and we got to meet Slipknot.
Yeah.
So.
I like that actually because I don't think it's cool to go up and bother someone when they're having dinner.
Yeah.
But a fire alarm going off like that and you're being stood outside, I mean,
fair game.
It's like, while we're here,
yeah, you've been invited to the situation.
I feel like Mick Thompson maybe just gave him one chance to ask a question, and he just asked him the worst question. Just said, "Are you?" And he's like, "Yeah, maybe." And off he went.
I'd do the same. I'd do the same. Yeah. Perhaps, and then dance away.
They're also maybe pissed off because they were about to eat dinner and had to go outside because of a faulty fire alarm.
Yeah,
but either that or burn alive. Like, you choose.
Well, you know, it was a faulty fire alarm. So.
We didn't know that until we were outside, and they went, "It's been like that."
Yeah. People are more casual about shit like that. I was in where the fuck was I? I was in McDonald's with a couple of people last week, and the fire alarm went off, and nobody in the building gave a shit. No one cared. Like I was sat there, and like after 5 minutes, of this fire alarm going off, my mate was like, "Should we go outside?" And I went, "No. I mean, I can see the kitchen. I can't see any reason to panic." No one in the kitchen seems to be panicking.
It was kind of the same in KFC. The fire alarm would sometimes just go off and be like, "Oh, I'll go turn it off." Just go up the back, turn it off. I mean, no, we didn't do that. Yeah. We did things by procedure.
You don't work there anymore. What's it matter?
Fuck the place. But no, but like customers were this, like the alarm would go off and the customers they'd go, "Oh, there's a noise," back to their food, and wouldn't even think
between
to panic.
Me and my chicken.
To be fair, there's never been a big enough fire in there to the point where people have had to evacuate and shit. So
I went to there's a cafe just up the road from here called Love Bites. And I went in there for breakfast. I've only been in there twice, and the first time I was in there, there was a kitchen fire. And I'm sitting and thinking, how has something like this happened, right? And I looked over to the oven. They're trying to put this fire out, and it was because they stored all of their unused cardboard on top of the oven.
Smart. Yeah. Did they keep it next to the oil and the petrol as well?
I was sitting thinking, that's wild, but it wasn't enough to get me to leave. So. Because again, nothing's getting between me and my breakfast.
If you're hungry, you're going to get your food. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I've waited for it. Cook me if needs be. I don't give a shit. I'm eating this bacon. Okay, so 2 more things. Counterfeit Pro audio gear seized in China. I mean, we can go through this unbelievably quickly because what a fucking surprise.
Yep.
Who would have guessed that the Chinese market likes to counterfeit stuff?
No.
It's more so...
Stop the presses.
It's the picture that gets me. Like, it's so organised. I don't know if you can bring it up, but... like, it's just...
Can we bring that up?
Fuck me. Look at the amount of... Like, just everything's well boxed. Like, you would think it's like the real factory. Look at that. Like, just numbers of things. There's, like...
It is proper.
A microphone that doesn't exist. They've just branded as a Shure.
Yeah.
It's a Sennheiser.
No, but the thing is, like, of course these are going to
stuff.
Of course these are going to look like they're absolutely genuine. So I'll talk to something that I know about TTM. I know a lot about TTM guitars.
He's bringing the big guns today, boys.
Yeah, of course I am. So, like, TTM were a business before,
that's right.
And things fell apart, and because things were manufactured in China and then brought over here, and then
essentially it was like a drop shipping AliExpress number with your name on the top. I remember seeing them years and years ago as well, and like,
not giving a shit.
Aye, like you'd see them on eBay and they'd be selling them as if they're like 600 quid guitars, but they've discounted them down to 450, and I'd be like, still don't know the brand, so I wouldn't chance it.
Hard no. And now you've got guys like dropping $2,000, like, oh, I know it's going to be worth the wait. I just know it is. No, you don't know it is. You don't. That you've never played one. You have no idea.
Money are easy partied, as the old saying goes.
Absolutely. The reason I bring that up though is because there's still issue with those. I would say knockoff. They're all fucking knockoff, but dodgy ones are still being manufactured in China, not legitimately, not being made and sold by TTM. They're just being made by the factory that used to make them. And
that's because the company that build them, whoever it isn't, that markets it through AliExpress and Alibaba and Wish.com and that, The only reason they put a name in the headstock is because you're buying a certain amount of units.
Yep.
Those models existed before TTM decided these are our models. Of course they can. They've got the IP for them. They're just going to sell them as they want.
But my point is, like, with stuff like this, that I'm sure a lot of it will be manufactured in China anyway.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me if these counterfeits are coming out of the same factories that are making the genuine stuff. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
Potentially, but I think the big problem with the counterfeits is that they're not as well made, as far as I understand, and that it's like cheap shit rather than actually proper. Because I've seen like fake SM57s and stuff, and the capsules are just dog shit and they don't sound good. But again, part of this article, because you might be right. Look at those amplifiers.
Yeah.
Like that is, apart from saying Vox Poo, that is a Yamaha amplifier.
Yeah.
There's
no difference.
No.
There's literally none.
Yeah, and that's not even counterfeit, is it? Like,
So that's the design on the website. That's a real one, and that's the counterfeit Yamaha one.
Yep.
Could you tell the difference between the two then?
Let me pull them up on screen so people can see them.
Yep.
For anyone watching.
So the top one is how they advertise them as their own brand. The middle one is a genuine Yamaha, and this is the counterfeit.
Yeah.
Look,
you would
they are
never
fucking
tell the
identical.
difference.
I couldn't tell the difference, and I
Never
remember
tell
having
the
the
difference.
Yamaha preamps and Magnum sound when I was there.
Yeah.
Like, I could never have told the difference then. The only time you would know the difference is you go to run them, and where it says it's got 600 watts, you're barely pushing 2.
Yeah. So no fucking surprise. Counterfeit
No,
gear
you're right.
coming out of China. Like, who would have thought it? Who would have
Stop
thought
the
it?
presses.
Make sure you're buying gear that has a unique thing about it that can't be easily copied. Is what I would say to you. These you're seeing a lot of the like Strandberg knockoffs, headless
the
guitars.
AliExpress ones.
The NKs, I think they call them.
Yeah. that's one.
People have been buying those, and then shock horror, they're surprised that they're not great. But like you see them like knock off. Someone sent me a link to a knockoff Vigier Bumblefoot double headstock, double neck,
No, double neck.
which is fretless and fretted. But more importantly, it's got the 1090 carbon neck thing in it. There's no truss rods in those guitars, and these guitars have truss rods in them. Like they're so easy to spot as being a fake. But yeah, I always talk about it. I think it's something that we need to be on the lookout for, and we need to treat it more seriously. When you know somebody that is looking at buying a knockoff guitar, tell them not to.
So we were talking about Real Legends guitars or whatever the fuck they were called in the last episode, and that is a blatant like case of ignoring copyright law.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts everybody. It hurts I don't feel bad for Gibson being hurt, but it hurts consumers too.
Oh, it hurts somebody who's bought it think it's legit.
Yeah, which will inevitably happen when someone buys it knowing that it's not legit and then sells it on, and eventually after it's been sold on 4 times, it's just that little detail of it not being genuine gets forgotten.
Yep.
Yeah, don't don't buy them. Everyone gets hurt, and more importantly, when Gibson's bottom line gets hurt, they have to push up prices on the guitars that they are selling. So counterfeits, they don't help people.
Nope, doesn't work. Doesn't help.
All right, cool. Last thing.
Let's do it.
Ta-da!
Here he is, Tom DeLonge.
Yep.
The Madman.
Tinfoil Tom.
I'm going to reiterate this point. I'm sure we mentioned it on the podcast a couple of episodes back, but for anyone that has not gone and watched that full Joe Rogan interview with Tom, do it. Just fucking do it.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, Kieran. Oh, it is the funniest thing because he is fucking insane.
Oh,
there
he's
is no
off the
ifs, ands, or buts about
in
it.
the deep
Right?
end at this point.
The sheer amount of times that Joe says, well, tell me more about that. Like, tell me more about that. And he's like, well, I can't say anymore. Like, I'm not allowed to say anymore. And then, but Joe's like, so why have they come to you? Why have they come to you rather than anyone else? Well, it's because I'm famous and I've got a big reach. I can reach people. Cool. So use that reach and tell us about stuff. Well, I can't say anything. He's absolutely fucking nuts. It's really funny because it's one of those few examples of a Joe Rogan podcast where Joe gets quite annoyed at how evasive.
Because you're there for almost what should be an interview.
Yeah.
Is it just me, right? Sorry to distract you, but is he in a padded room?
A padded room with a plug socket at the bottom.
Yeah.
So in case he decides to jam the fork in there.
Maybe that's inside a spaceship.
Oh, Oh well, you never know.
Good point. So they're also on that note of the Joe Rogan thing. So Travis from Blink was also on, and they're not on the same episode.
Yeah.
But you'll see the clips of him talking about Tom's appearance on the show and Travis's thoughts on Tom. And yeah, it's an interesting wormhole to go down because he's a lunatic.
But did it
Absolute lunatic.
Did they not have something to do with dismantling like a paedophile ring or something? Have you ever read this up before? I'm sure he actually had a hand in dismantling like a paedophile ring in America. Legitimately look it up.
How great is it going to be in 30 years' time when we find out that Tom DeLonge's actually a superhero and he's been hinting at it all this time and none of us have known it?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, shit, maybe he is in league with aliens and...
Maybe, man, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think he's a fucking lunatic.
Who was it that captured Colonel Gaddafi? Tom DeLonge.
Yeah, so the story is that he has...
He headed SEAL Team 6.
He's been picked
SEAL Team
to produce a UFO show on the History Channel. Now I should point out on the Joe Rogan show, like Tom is talking about this company that he works for, that he is on the board for, that works in technology, and they've got technology like alien technology and shit, and that they're going to be showcasing it in the next 6 months or so, and that they've got they can make things lose mass, and with the goal to make things weightless so they can fly. And he's like, this is how alien technology works, this is how the UFOs fly, and we can demonstrate it. We're going to show you like a piece of metal on a scale, and then we're going to blast it with this stuff, and it becomes lighter. Absolute lunatic.
Did Joe Rogan ask him if he took DMT? Because it sounds like he took DMT and never came out of the trip.
Yeah, he's still not broke through.
No, he broke through and couldn't get back.
It's over a year since that happened, but the appearance of all of this technology has never happened. Tom hasn't really come forward and done anything. You know what he does do a lot on that podcast? He mentions that he talks about it a lot in his book.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why he can't mention it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
His publisher's like, no, sell the book.
You've got an NDA till that book's out, son.
Yeah. So evidently he's going to have a UFO show on the History Channel.
I love the way they've worded it. The History Channel is continuing its dedication to research and scholarship by producing a new show about UFOs.
This is like the History Channel is no longer about history. They don't show anything that could be considered history. It's people's theories on aliens and like Pawn Stars, and I think there's a show, it might not be on history, I might be wrong, that's called Knife Wars, and it's literally people crafting knives, and whoever crafts the best knife wins. It's like the Great British Bake Off, but they're just making knives. It's so fucking...
The Great American Shank-Off.
Yeah,
it's just so crazy, man.
It would need to be American, wouldn't it? Because you're not allowed a knife over here.
Well,
not even a butter knife.
So, yeah.
Everybody in the shop gets lifted immediately after it.
I got into an argument with someone, shock horror, over someone being arrested for having a knife, right? For carrying a knife in public, and it was a table knife, like you just a knife and fork that you cut your dinner with. And someone was raging about the fact, like, how can they arrest someone for carrying a butter knife? And I was like, hang on a minute, that's not a butter knife. Butter knives don't have serrated edges on them. I'm right, aren't I? Butter knives have a straight edge.
A butter knife is basically just a flat, blunt object you use to spread things.
Yeah. But
we're calling it like a tribble.
I'm not going to say I lost the argument, but as far as the ratio of people that disagreed with me went, I was very much in the minority.
Well, let's say common conversation or common terminology is that any knife that isn't like an actual sharpened blade but might have a serrated edge that would be used for your dinner, they can consider it a butter knife if they want, right? It's still dangerous to carry. It's still a fucking knife.
Is it dangerous to carry?
You don't think so?
Do
you think something that could be sharpened with a razor edge shouldn't really be considered like a knife or dangerous to carry?
You can sharpen anything.
Exactly, and it would still be.
You can sharpen a stick,
and they would still be counted as a weapon if you're brandishing it and carrying it about in a weapon form.
Is the context of the story, like, why was he carrying what we are calling a butter knife?
I can't remember the context of the story, to be completely honest with you.
Was he carrying anything? Was there a fork there? Was he just carrying the knife?
The reason it was
a knife and a machine gun.
I know that fishermen and hunters have been told you can't carry knives on you,
fish and stuff,
which is
knives.
That was where the outrage was.
No, I think that's if you're in public just walking about.
Well, did Marcus not say that
Yeah, no, if you
one
get...
of his friends got lifted while they were fishing because they had a knife on them?
Yeah.
Which is a bit
silly.
bit sus.
That's the problem is there's no common sense interpretation of what the law should be.
Yeah.
The police officers weren't using any gumption whatsoever. They were just going, oh, there's a knife, we better lift him. I know there's a different context for a 15-year-old standing at a set of shops wearing a knife.
Yeah, no, that's fair. No, that's fair.
Like why would these knives be allowed to be sold if you're not allowed to carry them anywhere? Yeah. Like if I had to buy a knife from a shop and then walk out the shop and the police said, "Oh, what's that in your hand?" Obviously, it'd be in packaging, but if I took it out of the packaging, it'd be like, well,
yeah. It's funny because we're sitting here talking about our rights to carry knives. Meanwhile, you've got Americans running around with fucking assault rifles, and they're like, "The government's coming for my guns."
Don't you upset the Americans?
Don't you get worried about your guns until they come for your knives.
You
can't even butter my toast.
There's one exception to carrying a knife, and it's in Scotland. If you are in full, regale and you're wearing like your kilt, etc., you can carry a skiing do.
You can have your skiing do.
Which, again, crazy. Like it's great that there's that common sense approach to things, but those things are dangerous. Like you can do some damage.
It's a small knife. The whole point is it's kept in your sock in case you need it.
Yeah. So you can do a lot more damage with that than you can with a butter knife.
You're right.
No, and also, where's the issue with what's more dangerous on the scale of threat to the public? A butter knife or a fork? A butter knife's got no sharp edge on it.
It's just like 4 small knives on top of a...
Oh.
You know what I mean?
No, because they're not all sharpened edges. You don't use it to slash. It's a stabbing
implement. 4 small spears.
That's true. Yep. You throw a fork at somebody and...
I glued 2 forks down a brick and launched it in a crowd.
Yeah. I don't care how aggressively I slash at your arm. I'm never going to be able to cut your arm off with a butter knife, an actual butter knife, but I could easily gouge your eyes out with a spoon.
But you could gouge my eyes out with a knife as well. You need to base things on the same application.
Fair.
If that's how you're going to sell it.
Yep, no, okay. I could stab you in the throat with a fork, but I don't think the butter knife is going to have the same impact.
This is some like...
Depends how sharp it is.
This is some like O.J. Simpson, I didn't do it, but if I did do it kind of shit. Like this is...
No, you know what this is? This is one more thing that will get edited out of the podcast. No, I kid.
No, leave it.
This is good. This is good.
Yeah. So
all access.
Yeah. Well, I guess the big question is who's crazier? People that are scared to carry around a butter knife in case they get lifted for it, or Tom from Blink-182.
Tom from Blink-182.
There we go.
What does it say in there? Tom DeLonge to release children's book. Tom DeLonge's UFO hunt is deeply in debt. There you go. Deeply in debt.
Oh, bless him. Bless his poor little cotton socks.
To be fair, this is in punknews.org, and the first 2 lines of this article we're reading have got about 5 spelling mistakes. The History Channel's continued its dedication to research and scholarship by producing a new show about UFOs. It's executive produced by Tom DeLonge.
I'd also like to point out that under the related stories at the bottom, 4 of them all use the same picture of Tom.
And he's
are they all different stories?
And his UFO.
Are they all different stories? I can't even read them. There's too much light on my face.
The 2 at the front are kind of the same. Children's book, deeply in debt, releases new book.
Releases new Poet Anderson book.
Do you think this website features anything other than Tom? Do you think this is Tom's website? No, okay, no. They do it. They don't.
They're actually not too bad.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Cool. So I think that's probably us.
Sweet.
We've all got things to go and do. You guys have got to go and do stuff.
I get my kilt on, my skiing doing, throat and stuff. I have bad practice.
I'm going to go buy knives. And
butter knives only.
Read up on UFOs and stuff like that as well.
I'm going to go and play Magic, but I'm going to be really careful on my way to the shop because, you know, you could give someone a nasty paper cut with one of those cards and I don't want to get lifted.
Make sure they're in their sheath, the plastic sheath, because if they're out, then it's exposed and you could potentially throw it like Gambit and cause serious problems.
Maybe I should jump in and say, isn't a Gambit film coming out?
Is there?
Yeah, it was being made. I always used to love Gambit.
When I was younger and it was the cartoon, I loved Gambit because he was always just like
suave.
I'm so cool. Didn't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
They're making another X-Men film, an X-Men film on Macy Gray, whatever her name is. I don't care about
Macy Gray.
Say goodbye.
Flames everywhere.
I'd watch that. If that was in it, then I would care about X-Men, but I just don't give a shit about X-Men. They made the first one good, and then like 2 or 3 movies later, they undid everything that happened in the first one.
But what if this was the real universe? Shite lazy.
No, you know what? I'm going to jump in, and I can't defend it because they're dreadful. They are dreadful. I went to see the last one was Apocalypse, and it was absolutely it was dreadful. But what's worse, right? The retcon, the story-based retcon, where you go back and change the past to change the future, and therefore delete everything that's happened, or just a hard reboot every 2 fucking years that you get with a Spider-Man film.
That is very true. At least they tried to keep it like true to the original stuff, because the hard reboot things are just fucking annoying. The Spider-Man ones are alright. Like, ignore Amazing Spider-Man, they're dreadful. But the new Marvel Extended Universe ones are pretty good.
Just Tobey Maguire, and that's the end of it.
Into the Multiverse, the animated one, is
I've not seen it.
incredible.
Yeah, I've not
I
seen
really enjoyed it every minute of it.
I
Top
quite
10
enjoyed.
betrayals.
I quite enjoyed Amazing Spider-Man. Sorry. Yeah, I know. Well, no, you know what? I didn't enjoy the first one, but I thought the second one was better. Too different from Spider-Man, but that's actually what I appreciated about it. There was the hope that cool, make another couple of films and let's see where you go with this. Let's do something, add something.
Although,
I don't need to see Uncle Ben dying in every fucking Spider-Man
it's good
film.
that they stopped with that.
Yeah.
Like, it is good that you don't need to have to go through that shit. And the wrestling phase as well. You don't need to go through that every single time in the movies.
Oh, but you need
Bruce
to see
Campbell
Randy
was
Savage.
there.
And Randy Savage.
And Randy
Fantastic. Anyway, so thank you very much for listening, guys. And if you would like to support the podcast, then do so just by sharing it. Tell your friends about it. But there are better ways to support. There are better ways to support the podcast.
You can take a little trip to a little website called Teespring.
Look at that.
And buy a t-shirt from ours. The link will be below. You won't even have to search anything. How beautiful is that?
Yeah, make your life incredibly easy. I should just throw this out there. We've crossed the 1 year mark because SoundCloud. Yeah, this is really a birthday episode because SoundCloud have now charged us for a second year of hosting. So we've been up for a whole year now. So thank you very much, guys, for continuing to listen, and thank you for buying a t-shirt because that paid for the hosting for another year.
Don't forget, guys, use TTM for 20% off nothing.
That means there's now a new measurement for time, because that means there's 32 podcasts in a year.
Yeah.
32 Guitar Soul podcasts in a year.
It's an odd one, but it is what it is.
But it works.
These things happen.
Yeah.
We enjoy it. You guys probably don't, but don't give a fuck. Do it for us. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, Mike. Thank you very much, Kieran. Really, you should have been on in 2 episodes' time because you were on episode 3. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll be here next week.
Probably.
I don't believe that.
Yeah. If you're doing a listening club thing,
an album club,
I'll definitely.
People are always talking about us doing more album clubs.
Let's do a full album club fucking episode.
Because I could definitely pick a good one.
Yeah. Okay, that suits me. Cool. So thank you very much, guys. And until next time,
bye, fuckers.
You're fucking here.